He's a ground guy too. I mean, I'm sure he can do it all. I'm a ground guy. I think our ground games are drastically different, but we're both going for that submission. We just do it from different areas. I mean, it's a compliment. I think he's a bit of a bully, takes you down, roughs you up, submits you, and I kind of look for the catch you sleeping method and catch you there. So I'm going to go for it, man. He's going to go for it, so someone's tapping tomorrow.
Coming to Toronto to face Adam means a lot. I get to beat one of the hottest Ontario prospects in his hometown. Studied him, watched his tape. He's a tough dude, like good matchup. I just think I match up really well against him. It's gonna be a finish. It's gonna be a nice one in round 1 or 2.
Are you ready for your next fight, Toronto? Scream yeah! The following contest is scheduled for 3 rounds in the lightweight division. Here come your fighters. First, making his way out to the blue corner, please welcome Zackery Powel.
Zackery Powell. And Robin, you know him well. 2-0, fought twice under the TKO banner. A win over Brad Sullivan by arm triangle at TKO 44. Before a win over Mattia Loifonda at TKO 45 by rear naked choke. This young man is a dangerous prospect. He's got a real bright future ahead of him, and he's about to head into a clash. The name is Prospect Fighting Championship. This fight is 2 of the top prospects, not just in Canada, not just in North America, but in the world right now.
Agreed. If I'd be mad at him, if his name was Zackery Powell and he didn't go by Powell.
I like that, yes.
Yeah, I'd be angry with him. Instead, you look at this man. He's a very, very good fighter. Sifu in his corner, trains Dave Leduc, the world champion, or the #1 in the world, multiple-time champion in the art of Letway. Letway, of course, is the art of 9 limbs. It's like Muay Thai, only with headbutts. And so they know, Sifu is such a great man, a great martial artist, a very clever individual. You watch some of their training online. So when he's in Powell's corner, that's good for Powell.
Now, Letway as a martial art is very old, but if you're thinking, oh great, let's make Muay Thai more violent.
Right.
That's a little scary.
Yes, it's a 1,000-plus-year-old martial art, and I went over to Myanmar to commentate it. Burma, they used to call it. So it's a Burmese bare-knuckle form of 9 limbs martial arts. And they, in Myanmar, the Burmese people believe it predates Muay Thai, and that actually the king of Thailand at the time fell in love with it and said yes, but no headbutts. So that is the belief of the Burmese people. I don't know, history is very difficult to trace and to authenticate, but that is the belief, yes. So I don't know how much Zackery Powell uses the headbutt in his training, but he ain't using it here tonight.
No, that's for sure, and the next man out's gonna make sure of that as we go back to Mr. Throwdown.
His opponent, making his way out to the red corner, please welcome Adam Freitas.
Adam Freitas fighting at home for the very first time. 4-1 as an amateur. The one loss I was commentating on, Robin, it was a very controversial loss. 1-0 as a professional, knocked off Chris Allard at PFC 10 back in June by rear naked choke submission. He's out of Parabellum MMA. This is a young man you heard about for a long time, I heard about for a long time. Lyndon Whitlock, Rory McDonald, Lucas Chaston, they have been excited about him for a long, long time, to the point where he had 3 fighters pull out of what should have been his professional debut. It was canceled 3 times. Since then, he's had 2 more fights canceled. He's so happy that Zackery Powell stepped up to take this fight. It's a great challenge for both.
Zackery Powell will fight any man. He's not afraid. You saw Brad Sullivan go 3 rounds with Crew Joe. Powell took him out in a handful of seconds. So he will fight any of these guys. He doesn't care about your resume. He doesn't care what the internet says about you. He's going to fight you. And we love that about him. But yes, sometimes you be careful what you're wishing for, because Freitas is a very sophisticated martial artist, mentally really good. He's, although, hey, a lot of weird stuff comes with that. Expectations and pressure, and how you prepare and how you view yourself. A lot of that's complicated. So if you're Powell, you just step in here confidently and you do you. That's what he'll look to do.
Well, and that's what both of these guys are going to have to do. In his debut fight, Freitas was outstanding. He learned, and we talk about some of the OGs. We talked about Rory McDonald earlier. McDonald was the one in his corner giving him the instructions. And as he did, like a supercomputer, like his trainer, he took those instructions, and I remember it very well. He was looking for a rear naked choke with that traditional grip. He knew he couldn't get it and instantly slid his hands palm to palm and finished the choke off. For somebody in their professional debut against Chris Allard, who is a high-end Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, that was outstanding.
Yeah, this is a real thing right here. But again, a lot comes with that, a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. We'll go back to Mr. Throwdown.
PFC fight fans, the following contest is being brought to you by Golden Concentrates, Oshweek Speedway.com, and the Gambit Barbershop. Scheduled for 3 rounds in the lightweight division, here are your fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed in white and gold. Standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, he weighed in at 155.8 pounds. He's a freestyle mixed martial artist representing Patnaud MMA. He comes to the PFC cage undefeated with a record of 2 wins and no losses. Fighting out of and representing Gatineau, Quebec, ladies and gentlemen, here is Zackery Powell. His opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed in red and white. Standing 6 feet tall, he weighed in at 154 pounds. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist representing Parabellum MMA. He also comes to the PFC cage undefeated with a record of 1 win and no losses, with that 1 win coming by way of submission. Fighting out of and representing Mississauga, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen, here is Adam Clooney de Freitas. Referee Matthew Rocca with final fight instruction.
Powell and DeFreitas both undefeated. On the night, Patnaud and Parabellum both 1-0. Multiple O's on the line here.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody's O has to go. This PFC lightweight contest will be decided in 3 rounds or less.
Mr. Throwdown's going to be mad at me. I stole his thunder. It is Powell in the black trim with the white and gold. DeFreitas in the black and red. Yeah, oh yeah.
I thought Powell would start fast, and he did, and he's on the back. Look at this kid.
Powell
floating his way in.
Explosion through to get in, looking for side control.
Now this sort of headlock position, people will, again, something we talked about tonight, people say that's wrong, but it isn't. It's just different. Different sometimes is very tricky. That position can be, you can set up things from it. It's a position we would dismiss often, but then he uses it to just turn back in now.
There's a bit of a bulldog headlock at the same time.
Yes.
Now looking over, trying to get into mount. DeFreitas using his leg to reject, and he's back to full guard.
When I saw Powell, when I called his other fights, it was impressive, but he wasn't fighting somebody at this level. And now that he is...
Whoa, and he tried to lift him up for a slam, and DeFreitas used it to pop back to his feet. At least
he's got a guillotine, too. He's got a real guillotine threat. This is real.
And he's got his hands connected.
He's going to sweep him and try to go to guillotine in the mount. They'll both come up. He's going to attack the armbar now. This is sick.
This is outstanding. Powell fighting his way out of it. Got a short hammer fist in that loosened it up, and we're right back into a guard position. Rubber guard achieved here from DeFreitas as he goes up behind the head. He'd love to get that other leg out. Looks like he's sitting in mission control.
So what's going on? Powell's right thigh is crowding DeFreitas' left leg, and that's the key to it. So what DeFreitas has here is a few steps away from an omoplata or an attack of some kind. And what Powell needs, well, no, now I think DeFreitas actually freed that. No, still has, Powell is crowding the foot, the left foot, and that's exactly what he wants to do, is he wants to pass to that side.
Powell trying to keep him away from getting back into that rubber guard position and right back to it.
So even if you attack the omoplata which is a shoulder lock or a choke here, the fact that that left foot is trapped makes it a little bit easier to escape for Powell. And now he steps over. Now this is all Powell now.
Yeah.
That one movement improved the position for Powell dramatically.
Slides out of that rubber guard into a half guard as DeFreitas tries to lock him down over the top. DeFreitas using the cage as he looks to wall walk a little bit, but right back into that half guard position, and now turtles up a little bit in defensive spot with Powell on top of him.
So DeFreitas has the right shin across. That's there, you see it?
Yep.
Kind of a temporary position here, which is why Powell is striking during it. And see how he has to pull it out? It's a little testing position where you can see what works, and the answer for Powell is punch there. And DeFreitas again coming up, but watch, he's trying to just see his left foot. See his left foot? That's trapped. Without that left foot, he doesn't have as much as he'd like here. There, he's slowly rotating it. And again, Powell, that's the battle. And Powell now has squashed that foot with both legs.
DeFreitas trying to use his palm to gain a little bit of space. Back to that rubber guard position. Oh, he's trying to isolate the arm.
But what happens is without that foot there, you want that foot in the hip. So DeFreitas' left foot, see how it's trapped? If DeFreitas could free his left foot and put it into the hip bone and use it in control of himself, he would use it to leverage himself to change the angle, then he would attack the left shoulder. It's cool still here. What he's doing here, he can take little punches and little elbows, but unless he frees that leg, it's just sort of a trapping position.
Working from that mission control position. If I have my 10th planet down.
Well, it's a modified, without that leg, true mission control would be to free that foot.
Okay.
But if you're very, very close there, and see, without that foot, he comes out and he closes it off. So it was it was a 90% there position, and so you are correct. You are more correct than 93 out of 100 people who would identify that, and it's not wrong either. It's just details. It's like saying something's a full guard, but if you open your feet, is it
really a full guard? Yeah.
Ultimately, we interpret words differently as well. That's what humans do. So,
especially when you're calling, it comes back to the easiest thing to say as
That's
opposed
right.
to.
That's right.
Now Powell raining down with those elbows. That's full guard achieved again by DeFreitas, but he's got to find a way out here.
I got to tell you, man, Powell is way overperforming. And look, DeFreitas is cut from those elbows. Powell is way overperforming of what I believe Parabellum would have expected from him. And he's saying, "You all right?" And he says, "Yeah, let's just go." You got to be careful when you tap a guy to go, because sometimes the ref will misinterpret that.
That's right. He must have been listening in closely to what was going on that bottom side, as Powell trying to posture up and rain down, looking for that right elbow again. Went to the hammer fist, now steps over, and it looks like DeFreitas is still going to keep that leg in to stop him from getting to a mount.
The bad news for Powell is, win or lose, no one will ever underestimate this guy now.
No, not a chance. 10 seconds left in the round as he goes back into the guard, now full guard from DeFreitas.
Powell is winning these positions. Powell's doing the damage. Powell's shutting down a high-level guy. Powell is controlling positionally. It's shocking, actually. It really is. Man, so much good stuff coming out of that crew over there in Gatineau.
Wow, that one was a bit of an explosion out of the gates from Zackery Powell. He never let Adam DeFreitas get untracked in this fight, and maybe that was exactly the game plan. Go right into him, explode in, take top position, dominate the first round, and put DeFreitas on the back foot.
I'm a little, just a touch speechless on this. Again, fighting, what you can do, what you're able to do in a fight, is not simply up to you, because there's another guy trying to stop you from doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the level of that guy is what makes your accomplishment so impressive. So when you're defeating and squashing positions and having the subtle answers to that, near mission control setup, the answer to be able to get out the back door, to do the damage, to win those, to get on his back in those 5 minutes, it isn't just, oh, look, that's a good fighter. It's like, that's a good fighter doing that to another great fighter. And it's impressive.
Open up the second round, touch of gloves. Powell working his way forward with the head kick. DeFreitas tried the knee, and now Powell backs him right into the cage in that clinch position, working the knee up top.
And you will notice, we talked about DeFreitas' accomplishments, what people have been saying about him for years, which is accurate. He is very dangerous. You look at his physicality, you look how big he is. Look at what Powell's doing to him. I mean, it's really quite impressive.
This is a scary prospect.
Yeah, DeFreitas is still in this fight, make no mistake. But when you're, you go to start round 2, and just like you did in round 1, you get to 3 steps past a pretty good position. That is impressive as hell.
And if you go back to what DeFreitas was able to do to Chris Allard in his debut,
Exactly.
and now what's happening with Powell, I know that math game doesn't always work, but my, oh my, Zackery Powell looks awfully impressive.
Very impressive. And of course, everything we're saying here is only, let's say DeFreitas comes back and catches him, submits him, or knocks him out. All of this is still true.
That's exactly right.
And what it's doing is making the potential, the outcome, the consequences of success or failure, it changes the meaning of that for DeFreitas. When you see how good Powell is doing, the good fighters, the great fighters, understand that sometimes you hear this, and you'll interview a fighter after, and they'll say, oh, I didn't have a very good fight. Well, the great fighters might feel that way briefly, but then they're like, actually, that man that I fought was something special.
Yes.
You see it at all levels. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Poirier. Poirier was so disappointed, quote, in himself. It's not something you did wrong. It's something about the man you're fighting and what he was capable of on this day. And that's what Powell's doing right now.
You just fought one of the best to have ever done it.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right, Robin. And that's what we're seeing right now is Powell is controlling. DeFreitas is still defending well, though, although now he gets to the full mount.
I mean, are you kidding me? Look what this kid is able to do here under pressure.
His movements are so explosive. They're so quick. The reflexes, the fast twitch muscles. Yes.
Decisive. If he did that to you or I, that would be great. Look, you got them out. But he's doing this, and then as his man bucks, he moves to the back like a backpack of death here. And now he's going to attack that arm.
He's got both hooks in.
He gives up that arm and instead goes to attack the chin, neck, jaw.
And the great thing here from Powell is the explosion that he moves with, how quick he can turn to offense, and then when he gets into these positions, he slows it down. He takes his time like a boa constrictor, squeezing his opponent.
And it's disheartening. When you're losing, when you're used to winning different positions and different small micro battles, and now you're losing them one after the other, it starts to be really unnerving for the man Adam DeFreitas or any man in this situation. You know, this is all very unfamiliar.
Looks to me, Robin, that DeFreitas has to roll back in if he wants to get out of this position, but that body triangle is now set in, and that's going to be really tough to get out of.
Yeah, and you want to shake him to the other side, and so you try to use the mat to free your hand, to free the foot. There, you see? Now the foot comes off because you pressure it on the mat. But that's not easy to do just by the, and now it comes up with the head and arm, does Powell.
Potential arm triangle, the hand is underneath.
And notice it's one hand. That hand is flat on the mat now, using the texture of the palm, and now he goes palm
he's
to
got
palm.
it.
Yep.
Palm to palm, he's got to separate.
Ear to tricep now. You don't have to separate. You can finish it from here, but it will be more successful if you separate. But he's not doing it. And notice the color change. From our angle, we can see the color change. Now he's off.
Now he's got it, and this is going to be a tough position. DeFreitas looking to defend. Locks his arms through his own leg to lace it.
It helps, but it doesn't mean you're out either. He's fighting the battle. He's defending it. But so Powell now will try to go ear to tricep and then go flat on the ground. Or now he's TPing up, and instead he'll go to the back. DeFreitas,
the defense of DeFreitas.
Yep, he fought his way through it and improved the position. Now he's going to get his arm trapped, and he's going to get rolled into a crucifix.
Intelligent by Powell, though, Robin, to give that up. He didn't gas himself out trying to squeeze that. He just moved to another technique and now trying to find the arm bar.
Powell now looking for the Kimura, and he's got something. He's got a partial one now. He may just go old school cop move here and throw it up on the back.
We got an old school one sitting next to us.
Nice. Mr. Duthie.
Powell is trying to roll his way through. DeFreitas looking for top position for the first time in the fight. Almost had a rear naked choke. And Powell comes right back on top with DeFreitas going back to that modified mission control.
Well, let's see where DeFreitas' left leg is. Now it's mission control. Now we're all the way in. See, the foot's in the hip. But as the foot goes in the hip, Powell steps over.
There is a attempt here.
He will get the omoplata, but you can roll through it, and he does.
Wow, this is outstanding.
Sick. This is sick. And then he's trapped that foot again. Wow.
I think the crowd ought to be on their feet after 10 minutes of this.
Holy crap.
So at this point, it's 2 rounds to Powell, but DeFreitas is right in this fight, Robin, to the point where he almost had 2 submission attempts completed in the last 30 seconds of the round.
So if I'm at DeFreitas' corner, though, we stay away from this guy, and we knee him, we kick him, we punch him, we go uppercuts, we hurt him. We're not winning this. We're used to winning these positions. We were introduced tonight when we came in as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. Well, this round, that's not what we are. This round, we are going to play with different elements and different qualities of the fighting game. And that's what we got to do.
Now, if you're in Adam DeFreitas' corner, this is where he's lucky to have the training that he does. Rory McDonald, Lucas Chaston in the cage to work with him. So those are the guys that will be able to guide him through the trouble here.
Yeah, and so a couple of things we want to do. I just saw Rory's eyes, and he looked super focused. So yes, we're either going to move away and strike, or we're going to do that and combine it into taking this man down. If we're on the ground, we want to be on top. We're not winning on the bottom, so we need to be on top, on his back, or punching and kicking in space. What we don't want to be is underneath him. We're not accepting that game.
Great embrace, center cage, and DeFreitas comes out with a body kick. Now looking to go up top. Powell steps down on top of him.
Powell may circle the other direction now towards his left. No, he's going right. I thought he might go left because the arm was in there, but that might have been a bait from DeFreitas.
DeFreitas trying to explode off the bottom. Powell forces him down.
So if we said no more, and see how he's trapped that left foot again? So brilliant. He's had that answer all night long. The left foot of the man on the bottom, Adam DeFreitas, now he's out, okay? And so watch, Powell will try to pull all the way out. What he can't do is be confined here. You can't be incarcerated down in this area. You have to get out when the feet are both hooked. Now he's got the foot in the hip, and now he's going to hug his own knee, right there.
Oh, that's what he wanted. He almost had the arm trapped.
So you hug your own knee, and then that word incarcerate is perfect. You have trapped him. You have jailed him in that position. So now Powell is going the other direction. So again, in half guard. I remember, I forget what fight it was. Pat Cote was fighting someone very, very dangerous. Somebody, I think Ben Saunders. And Ben Saunders plays these games.
Yes, he does.
Ben Saunders plays rubber guard, and he plays from guard, dangerous guard attacks of all different
And a lot like
tactics.
DeFreitas, very long legs.
Exactly. And so I said, Pat, what are you, and when I was interviewing him for Fight Network, I said, what are you going to do? He said, brother, half guard kills all. That was his answer. And that's been the answer here for Powell. The answer for Powell has been half guard kills all.
Randy Couture and Dan Henderson won titles by being half-guard specialists.
Yep. And when they did it, back then, they would use it instead of the mount. Now, that people don't do as much anymore.
No.
If the mount's there, the answer was, back then, it's like, sometimes people buck us from the mount, so we'll stay in half-guard. Today's answer is, we'll go to the mount, and we'll learn how to never be bucked. And they answer the problem instead of avoiding the problem. But look at Powell, man. Like
staying in top position, side control. He's just, every time DeFreitas comes up with something to reverse the position, Powell has the counter.
Yeah, or the penalty even. Like it's like you did the thing. Now you look at DeFreitas' right arm is on the hip. Powell trapped it, so DeFreitas has to pull it out. Now it's trapped between his legs. Don't be surprised if you see Powell start to do something with that right arm that's trapped between his legs right now.
And if you're thinking watching this fight that while this is over, that Powell is in complete control, Anderson Silva chaels Son in one.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's the beauty of the guard game. When we say, hey, listen, the guard's not working so far tonight, our answer might be let's avoid it. But some other answers, Tony Ferguson's answer is, this is what I do. I will stick with it and I will submit you. And he might submit, the greatest of all time that he's fighting in Khabib. He might. Now, he might not. He might take a beating from underneath. But it's when you commit to your belief system, you commit to it fully, and you fight from this position.
North-south position here for Powell.
Yeah. There's a triangle setup that he's fishing around for where Powell would use his legs to choke DeFreitas.
Yeah, this would be an inverted triangle, would it not?
That's right. That's right. By trapping the left arm, DeFreitas uses every part of his body.
And now getting back to his feet, maybe DeFreitas trying to explode. Nope, Powell's got the back and able to roll him through. DeFreitas trying to roll into it. Powell with the counter,
he's
right
winning,
into mount.
He's winning every single exchange here.
Wow.
That exchange was DeFreitas trying to reverse him and put him on the bottom, and he won that exchange too. And it's not because you have to do this to answer that. It's little battles. And look at the way he crawled up with his fingers there. That's a subtle detail of how to trap that arm. Instead of moving your arm, you crawl it along the mat. These are small, genius details that this man is flowing through as if he's been doing them his whole life, and maybe he has.
DeFreitas gives up the back. He's going to try to roll in again. That time a little bit more successful. But again, Powell turns right back to the back, slides one hook in. DeFreitas trying to get to his feet. Oh, the strength of Adam DeFreitas. 4 points down.
There's a knee bar here, a Sulev stretch it's called, where he can actually attack that knee bar from that position.
And now traps the knee in with the shoulder. Now he let it go, but that was an innovative way to roll him through and right back into that back mount position.
I'm absolutely shocked by how good this kid is, and it's just technically right. And it's choices. And, I think we talked about it a little bit tonight. You don't consciously make a choice. Look, the fastball's coming, maybe I'll swing. You just program your body to respond when it sees certain cues without thought. And that's what Powell's doing here.
Yeah, there hasn't been enough time for Powell to have those kind of thoughts. He's just instinctively going position to position to position, and he's got 10 seconds left before a dominant victory over a really tough Adam Freitas. Zackery Powell is the real deal.
Wow, is he ever.
This young man is headed for championship gold sooner than later.
Is he ever? I am shocked. He had a couple of impressive performances, and it felt kind of real, as he was coming up and I got to call his fight. But that was something very special. I'm looking forward to talking to him and his team, man.
Wow. Absolutely, Robin. And if you're PFC at this point, he might only be 3-0, but you've got to be thinking about potentially putting some gold on the line at the 155-pound class, with Powell very, very close, if not right at that title picture.
For sure, and a kid like this needs to fight, A dog needs to run. A swimmer needs to swim. Birds got to fly. This guy's got to fight. So let's keep getting him fights. Wow, that was impressive.
Absolutely blown away by the performance of Zackery Powell. I know how good of a fighter Adam Freitas is. I called all of his amateur fights. I called his professional debut. He is a talented, gifted young fighter that is going to continue to ply his trade in the cage and be very successful at it. But Zackery Powell is on the road to something very, very special. He's 24 years old, and he's 3-0 with 3 dominant wins inside the cage, his first here in PFC. And again, you gotta believe that gold is not far away from his waist at this point, or at least the opportunity to fight for it. Zackery Powell has immediately launched himself into title contention as PFC continues to roll along, and that is a performance that I don't think many are going to soon forget from the man known as Pow. That was extremely, extremely impressive, as we'll go back inside the cage to Pete Trevino.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause for both of the fighters in this cage. After 3 rounds of professional mixed martial arts, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Doyle scores the contest 30-26. Judge McNeil scores the contest 30-27. And Judge Vandermeer scores the contest 30-26. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Zackery Powell.
Powell. Wow. Yeah, let's get you some water. In fact, please bring your team over here. Bring your team over here. That was incredibly impressive. Tell us who these people are.
Sifu Pat Marcel, Kevin Bassin, main training partner. Got Vincent Houle, that's who's my head coach. He's gone to Florida right now. First fight with Hallinan, really stressful. And Dan Guillemette, head teacher at Evolution BJJ.
I just had a conversation with Sifu earlier about a guy named Dave Leduc that I went to Myanmar to see fight because I wanted to see if it was real, how good he was. I've called both of your fights, but that was incredibly impressive. This guy is a real fighter, and you won every exchange in this battle. Was it a heavy fight for you? Were you in your flow? How was it?
Adam's the best grappler I ever fought. I wanted to strike with him, and I'm a hell of a grappler. I'm like, fuck it, that's where I'm comfortable. And it feels good to go win that way against a guy that good.
He's the real thing, and right now he and his team will be feeling like they had an off night, but they didn't have an off night. You took that over.
Yeah, I think my ground skills are really good. I didn't know how good they were. Like, I knew they were good, but Adam was a real test, and now I kind of like.
Now you know.
I know. I fucking know now.
Listen, thank your people quick.
Man, shout out to my family, my girlfriend. It was a year off. It was really hard. Kind of emotional. It was the longest year ever. And I got to thank them for that, man. They were there all the way. And yeah, always there.
Well, congratulations to your whole team. That was a wonderful performance, guys. Powell!